Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and there's not much to this video as far as details, but there's also a ton to this as far as significance. And a lot of people are excited about this because it just came out of absolutely nowhere. Well, not nowhere, it's Mark Rosewater and his blog. That's the source of all kinds of shocking revelations, to be honest. But this has to do with the upcoming set. It's a lore spoiler. It's something we've never seen before in the entire history of Magic, unless I'm wrong, which I don't think I am. Then again, I'm no lore specialist, and this kind of has to do with the Wanderer too, which everybody really wants to know who or what the Wanderer is. That's that unbelievably powerful mystery planeswalker that showed up to Ravnica for the War of the Sparks set. And Mark Rosewater, obviously jokingly at this point, said, and in fact I think it was April 1st, said, it's us, like it's us the player finally showing up to the storyline, because remember, we're planeswalkers in the, I hate to say lore because that implies story. In the design of the game, we're playing as planeswalkers, I guess would be the best way to phrase it. So he's like, oh, well, every planeswalker showed up to the battle, even you. So like, you're the Wanderer, and they made her as mysterious as possible. But at the time, I made a huge video breakdown. This video got a ton of views because people are really interested in this. And basically, I stated all the reasons that I personally found and other people have suggested for why the Wanderer is related to or literally is Emrakul. It's statements made by the staff, other things that Mark said, things that the card said, her dress. I mean, the feathers going back to, like, the merfolk's lore when they praised Emrakul as a god. Then comparing it to, like, that Forgotten Shrine card or whatever, the art on there. Like, it was a wonderful video. And at the end of it, I drew the conclusion that it's almost impossible that the Wanderer isn't actually related to Emrakul, which would be very interesting. I thought something to the effect of, like a statement at the end of the story for Eldritch Moon, and then also a statement made by Emrakul herself when she was like talking with Jace in his head. Both of them suggested that we're definitely going to see her again in some form, and that she willingly entered the moon and could willingly leave whenever she wants, maybe. So maybe the definition of that is, oh, well, the Wanderer can be her avatar. She experiences the world through her and then learned to planeswalk around. And I say learned because the Wanderer is not a normal planeswalker. So this is taken directly from the wiki page about the Wanderer. I don't think they cited a source, so I don't know where this comes from, but I have heard that this information is confirmed somehow. So, however you want to interpret and weight that, the statement made is, the Wanderer is also cursed to make an effort not to planeswalk. Unlike other planeswalkers who are tired by the process of planeswalking, the Wanderer can planeswalk and then planeswalk again almost immediately. But only because if she doesn't focus, she will be pulled at random from plane to plane. So after all this time and with all this combat experience, and after existing for what seems to be a long time because she can, quote, take down even the biggest of foes with one swing of her giant sword. I don't know why I said quote, that's completely paraphrased. But after all this time and wandering around, thus the name, she still isn't good at planeswalking. Now, we all know when somebody spark awakens, they usually accidentally planeswalk and just sort of land somewhere. But then very shortly after, they just kind of were like, oh, I bet I could do that again. And then they can kind of steer themselves within like minutes. So after, in theory, years of the Wanderer traveling around, she doesn't like to planeswalk because if she doesn't focus, she could be pulled from one plane to the other and not land where she wants to. Now, the whole thing about her being cursed, I think that was added a little bit more recently. I remember it not saying cursed, so that might have clarified things that people were wondering about. It sounds like it's more of a Garruk thing, where like he's cursed, like literally, as in it is curse magic. Or do they mean in this case, no, like cursed as in that's unfortunate? Like they're using cursed as what, like a metaphor or whatever? So the Wanderer has to do with Emrakul. Emrakul can't technically planeswalk because the Eldrazi exist in the interplanar space between the planes, aka the Blind Eternities, and when they want to manifest themselves on a plane, they just create an avatar-like body for themselves and then control it because they cannot physically enter a plane. Sort of. So if the theory is correct that the Wanderer was created by Emrakul, well, you can't just create a planeswalker, you need a spark, and sparks are unbelievably powerful. People have given up their sparks to cast like a hyper-powerful magic spell that would take like virtually infinite mana otherwise, and they've like mended holes in time, and I think that's what happened to Teferi's Spark or something. So it's like crazy amounts of energy, and I don't think a synthetic spark has ever been created. But then people were thinking, well, if the Wanderer was created by Emrakul or is somehow related to her, it seems like Emrakul would have to give her a spark. Well, you can't just make a spark, but then again, the Eldrazi are really weird and also really powerful, so maybe you can, or they just took an attempt at it, and oh, that's why the Wanderer is so bad at planeswalking, is because it's a synthetic, not quite perfect, not quite accurate to the real thing, not quite natural spark. So a lot of people were saying, and this is wrong, by the way, I'll just preface it with this is not correct, that Emrakul was trapped in the moon on purpose during that series of events on Innistrad so that she could focus all of her energy and just like meditate and concentrate to make a spark artificially and then give it to the Wanderer. Now, unfortunately, I believe this is an update to the wiki from the book. The Wanderer knows Sarkhan Vol, and that wouldn't make sense if she was, I mean, what would it be? I think we had Jace being lost for like 2 months, and that was the only thing that happened in between. So if the Wanderer was created by Emrakul after she got trapped in the moon, the Wanderer wouldn't have had much time to know Sarkhan unless she went straight there and met him, and I feel like that would have come up. I believe the quote they're referencing indicates that they knew each other from like years ago, so that timeline doesn't make sense. So, I mean, that explanation seems a little bit off, but I think there's something here, because remember, the Wanderer is the only Planeswalker card in the history of the game without a Planeswalker type on the subtype line. Because remember, it will say, like, Jace Planeswalker. So it's not just, oh, they're hiding who it is. Like, that affects how the card functionally works in the old rules. So, okay, in the old rules, and they created her now, okay, but it seems like it's almost like indicating that this isn't a real natural human. Whatever you want to call her, you know, homunculus, created human, synthetic, whatever, avatar, Emrakul, spawn in disguise. If she was a created, manufactured, or temporary avatar thing that was created, she wouldn't really have a name, so you can't put a name on her. So it's almost like indicating that there is something different about her just by the card being different. Might be reading too much into that, but you know, wizards like to mess with our heads, especially around the Eldritch Moon stuff, where there was like hidden mysteries in the words and the clues and the art and stuff. And they also love to kind of mess with people and drum up really just attention. It's like a marketing tactic, obviously, by like casually mentioning and redrawing the art for Merit Lage without saying anything about what Merit Lage is, and then every couple of months somebody comes up with a new theory about, oh, maybe this is Merit Lage, maybe that's Merit Lage, maybe Merit Lage is the fourth Eldrazi, maybe Merit Lage is going to be on Maury Povich, and he is the father. Hey, more people talking about the lore, more people talking about Magic on social media in the open where people who don't play Magic might hear it. That's free marketing. Duh. So they want to drum up mystery and get people talking. And that's why the Wanderer is just one giant, either interesting mystery that'll be resolved or the biggest red herring ever, and it's just some lady. So the number one thing that people have been saying is, can you create a spark? And yes or no, there's not a whole lot of evidence to point to in the entire history and lore of Magic. We've had entire books, novels, 25 years of sets, everything, and the answer is still, we don't really know. But to point to the one thing that is very interesting about this, inanimate, non-natural, and constructed intelligent things are not supposed to be able to planeswalk, because theoretically, like, they don't have a soul or something. I think that's what was really behind it. But oh wait, there's Karn. So unnatural use of a spark is Karn. I mean, that's his whole history. Well, the super short version, because this is not my area of lore expertise, is that Venser, you know, aka Mr. Artificer dude, he, I don't know, was dying or something, and then he gave his spark to Karn. So that's a thing that can happen. They are transferable. And then we learned more of the spark. Yeah, obviously they are. They can be stolen and used for magic and whatever. But we already knew that from like stuff that happened around like Tolarian Academy with those wizards. A lot of them, you know, the mending of Dominaria and that whole thing, that involved a bunch of spark usage and spark magic. So they could be used for massive spells. Bolus wanted them for the same reason, and they could be transferred to inanimate objects. Animated objects, I guess. Sorry, Karn, I just offended Karn. They could be imbued upon constructs that are sufficiently intelligent and turn them into planeswalkers, so basically you can have a planeswalking golem. Like, that is a thing that can happen. So the Wanderer, oh, maybe the spark got stolen from somebody else and put into the Wanderer by Emrakul or not. That's theory number 2, based on what we know about Karn. But Karn has absolutely no problem planeswalking, and the Wanderer does. Why is that? That's why people think it's like a counterfeit manufactured imperfect spark or like a damaged spark or something. I like the first option because it makes more sense. So that's the whole history of the mystery, what all leads up to this statement today, the whole backstory, what you need to know. So what update did we just get on August 23rd? Compliments of Mark Rosewater on his blog. He said, in response to Shivan Dragon Horde asking, would Will or Rowan ever be in a set without the other? Which, let me explain this. Those are the two planeswalkers that were in Battle Bond. They are twins, and their home plane is the upcoming, plane of Eldraine. I guess that's the name of the plane. I don't know if they've confirmed that yet. It's at least the name of the set. And we already know that Rowan Kenrith is all over the artwork. She's going to be featured in the set. And then obviously her twin brother Will is going to be there too because, they're twins and they like to travel together, right? Not exactly. He responded, they share a spark, so that would be hard to do. And that one sentence where he just throws us a bone and leaks this very interesting, never before seen feature of a spark, it lit the whole Magic community on fire. So people are like, what? You can share sparks? What? Twins share what? And I mean, you look at video games, anime, anything, Dungeons and Dragons, like look literally anywhere into any sci-fi or fantasy anything, and twins sharing a thing, a magic gift, a soul, psychic powers. It's practically a cliche at this point. So you might be thinking, oh, I see. So if you're twins and one of you becomes a planeswalker, you both become a planeswalker, but then you both share a spark because you're twins, and that's just never come up in the story yet. Wrong. It has come up in the story yet. Ugin and Bolas are twins. Now, how dragons are born is a whole different thing compared to humans, so that might be where the distinction comes from, but obviously Bolas and Ugin don't share a spark, but because they're twins, they both became planeswalkers, which is actually a counterexample. It's like saying, oh, well, if there are twins and one of them is going to have their spark ignited, then the other one will too, but they have separate sparks. Like, they have literally said that that's not how it works with the example of Bolas and Ugin, except that they're dragons, they're vastly not identical, and maybe they're just like twins in theory because they were just like born from the sky from the dragon, and it's like a whole thing. But I thought they don't really hatch from eggs, but I thought they said they were in an egg together, but I don't know, maybe the egg cracked in the sky. I don't know. I read it a while ago, but regardless, we have an example of twins not having to share a spark. So now we have an example of twins who do share a spark. So what happened? Did one of them lose their spark and now they can share it because they're twins? I could see that, except how does that work? Because you can't just say, oh, I'll pass it to you when I'm done. No, you planeswalk to another plane. You can't pass the spark between planes. That would be weird. I mean, maybe you can, but that just seems wrong. And well, as of the mending, they made it very clear you cannot transport two people with one spark. You used to be able to, now you can't. Because remember, planeswalkers way back in the day, pre-mending, could planeswalk and just like grab somebody and take them with them. But post-mending, you can't do that. And then I think another feature of the mending was that organic matter can't pass through an interplanar portal even if you build it or use magic. Only inorganic matter can, and that was like the setup for Tezzeret's whole thing. So pre-mending, you could do that. You could build a whole portal that moves an entire society or civilization to another plane, but I guess they just didn't want people to be able to do that because it was too story ruining, so now they can. So you can't send 1,000 people between a plane, you can't even bring one person between a plane. It's planeswalkers only, the end. So how do you have two people with one spark both planeswalk together to Battle Bond, or whatever the name of that plane was, and then back to Eldraine? So I really don't know what they mean by share a spark. Maybe they each have half a spark and that's enough to planeswalk, but there's a limit to it. I mean, there's so many fascinating ways you could extrapolate this in your head. That's why everybody's like blowing this up. I mean, the like ratings on the blog of just this one post is about 5 times higher than the average post. So like people are like, whoa, this is significant. And it's one sentence, but that's how Mark Rosewater likes to do it. So, is the Throne of Eldraine set going to tell us something in the backstory of the two twins here that will reveal something very interesting about sparks and how they work that will be relevant, obviously, to the very recently talked about Wanderer? So, being able to share a spark in Planeswalk and being able to not Planeswalk correctly because there's something, it's implied, wrong with her spark, do those have anything to do with each other, and are they going to come together? I hope so. But also, I guess I'm not going to find out because they're paywalling the ebook for $3.99, and I'm not going to support that. So in Wizard's own words, if you want any lore past what is printed on the cards, you're going to have to get the book. So will we get any interesting revelations? Let's just hope somebody on Reddit or the wiki pages puts something somewhere about something. Cause I ain't got time or money for that. Sorry. Boy, what a downer to end on, but what a wonderful way to illustrate why people are so pissed that they're paywalling the lore now. Yeah, but they gotta pay the author and the money goes to hire a better author. That's called the cost of doing business, and the lore is part of your, honestly, marketing strategy for the entire product. So that sounds an awful lot like not my wallet's responsibility, Wizards. It should come out of your budget because you make like $500 million a year. I mean, what's a book deal like that cost? Can't be over $50K. No way in hell. I mean, I'm no short novel author or publisher, but I'd think $10K would be a little bit closer to it. And remember, Wizards underpays everyone and every contractor and every employee for everything they do. So don't forget that. So yeah, this great big mystery that everybody's wondering about, and then, oh, well, only 5% of people are going to find out because only 5% of people are going to buy the book, let's be honest. Boy, what an absolute depressing ending to this great mystery that everybody's on fire about. But let's go back to fun time. Leave your crazy, wildest speculations on who the Wanderer is, how sparks work, how they share a spark, what's going on with twins. And by the way, in case you're about to say, oh, well, Ugin and Bolas weren't identical, but maybe Rowan and Will are. One's female, one's male. Yeah, they're fraternal twins. That's two embryos, okay? We've got an X and a Y chromosome in play here. That's all I'm saying. If anybody were to share a spark because of some weird thing, because they're technically the same identical DNA body that's split from one embryo, it would be identical twins, and that would make sense, but they're not. So really, this really falls apart quickly, but it also means it's even more mysterious than we thought. So it is definitely open season on wild speculation on what the hell you think is going on with any of this. And you know how wacky the magic story gets, so feel free to get weird with this. Let me give an example. Planeswalkers Spark Awakening isn't random. They're assigned by an invisible, hyper-intelligent, semi-omniscient race of aliens who live between the planes and choose people based on a set of criteria. And they're called the Sparkians. Wait, no, that would be stupid. Sparkitects. That's right, they're the architects of the sparks. The Sparkitects. And also, we're secretly in the Stargate SG-1 universe, but this is a prequel, and it's actually the Furlings. Shout out to the 4 people who got that reference and know Stargate SG-1 lore to the point of knowing who the Furlings aren't. I guess that would be the best way to phrase it. So that's my official guess that I'm throwing out there. Oh, and then obviously, it goes without saying, Emrakul works for them and is their queen, and the Eldrazi are their rulers. And now that 2 out of the 3, although I could have sworn they said there's 4, Eldrazi Titans are dead, I think? I don't know, I didn't read that story. Then Emrakul made them make a special spark and give it to the Wanderer, who traveled back in time to meet Sarkhan, and then she's gonna get revenge on the Gatewatch, even though I'm pretty sure she helped them in War of the Spark. And she's gonna get revenge for killing 2 out of the 3, maybe 4 leaders of the Furlings, aka the Sparkitect people. And so the next great foe of the Gatewatch will be the Wanderer. And Emrakul, who's going to come out of the moon to beat some ass. I mean, there's a logic to that. So leave your guess or wild speculation or interesting observation or an additional piece of the lore or interesting information about a spark or whatever the hell you want down in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next video.